Hey guys, welcome to the Blue Abroad Show. I'm your host Terry. Monday evenings, great to be here, nice and calm. And tonight is a very special show because we really are doing the Blue Abroad name its justice. Because my guests, Rash and Ramo, are calling in from the sandpit in Dubai. Boys, let's start. Ramo, let's start with you, mate. Hello,
mate. How are you? Good to be here. Long time listener. It's been great. Really good, mate. Feel privileged.
No, it's good to have you on. Rash, I've spoken to you a bit. We've done some work together a little bit, but Ramo, I've never had you on, so it's good to get the duo on the show.
Yeah, we're very excited. Can't wait for this.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, hope the audience is going to be liking what we have to say. Not too sure.
No, I think you'll be fine. We'll keep it real, and that's the only rule of the channel. Keep it real. That's it.
That's right.
Yeah,
brilliant.
What's the situation there? Us in Victoria, for the most part, we're getting geared up for freedom. How are you guys going? Because you're a couple of Aussies living in Dubai.
Yeah, I can tell you because I was just saying off air before that I went to a nightclub last week, and the nightclubs are completely opened and no masks, and there's dancing, and it's fully opened here. It's been opened since I've been here, since March. You'd say, Ramo, it's pretty open.
I would say
probably about 100 cases a day.
We had a lockdown for 6 to 8 weeks. That was very, very strict. We needed to apply for permits to leave our house to go to the grocery store and whatnot. One person from the house could go to the convenience store. After that 6 to 8 weeks, we sort of eased into sort of social distancing, but still could go out to restaurants and whatnot. And to be honest, for the last 12 months, apart from wearing a mask, you wouldn't even think that there was COVID. And even though we had, I think there was a patch for like 3 or 4 months where we were getting 5,000 cases a day, and we didn't go through a lockdown. We were just, business as usual. Businesses were open, offices were open, restaurants, cafes, gyms, beaches, everything was all. It was just wear a mask and social distance and sanitize your hands, whatever it may be, and that was it. Nothing too major.
We've had concerts here. We've just had was it 2 weeks ago, Ramo? They've done the Dubai Expo, and they go for 6 months.
We've got Dissect here now, which is one of the biggest sort of tech sort of expos in the world. That's here for the whole week, and it started yesterday. There'll be like tens of thousands of people going through the trade center here in Dubai. So. And 60 different countries, over, like sort of 10,000 sort of startups from around the world coming here with their sort of tech ideas and whatnot. And it's just completely open, man. It's been good for us. I feel like
we've had concerts. We had Andre Pacelli here last week and Ali Goulding. So it's fully opened. So in a nutshell,
amazing.
We must say the government here, I think they have a different sort of mandate compared to most governments in the more mature markets. The government here has got a mission where they want to sort of set the standards for the world. They want to be leaders in things, right? So earlier on in the sort of lockdown phases, they were pretty much talking about how can we make the UAE one of the quickest to recover from COVID, right? How can we be the quickest to vaccinate? So they pushed really hard for those things. So once we recovered from it and we were pretty much open for business, a lot of people from Europe and from other parts of the world were traveling here and doing their business from here. They would create a sort of a remote freelance visa where you could be employed in the UK but be based in Dubai and live and spend and do your job from here, right? And because the time zones are actually quite sort of close together, anywhere from sort of 2 to 4 hours from the whole of Europe to here, it gives you that flexibility for more of a reach to be able to have that. So they're quite innovative and they're quite sort of passionate about making sure that it's perceived in that way. So it works for us.
Love it. Well, listen, we've got a lot to get through tonight. There's a lot of Carlton news to get through, and we've got transactions to get through. We've got a best and fairest to get through. We've got, we've got a good chat to have. So I'm going to run a little intro. I'm going to thank our members, and then we're going to get this on the road, boys. Stand by.
What's going on? Martin's been very impressive every single time.
Thanks to all the Carlton supporters. Thank you for all the love.
Gates is playing Glasgow. And there's a magic ball. The ball inside 50. Control! He strikes it beautifully. He's got it.
Love it.
Love it.
That was good.
It gets you going. We're going to get a new one done soon. Yeah. Rub their hands together. Before I get you guys to talk, I want to just thank our members of the YouTube channel. There's 3 types: regular members, finals members, and premiership members. Your support is unreal. And it's through your support that we've been able to sponsor Corey Durden and Charlotte Wilson this year. And it's just great. It's something I'm very grateful for, and I really do appreciate the support. Boys, I want to like introduce you guys to the audience a little bit more and talk a little bit about what you do, because you do some really good things when it comes to the humans and the mind space. Rash, why don't you talk a little bit about that work that you're into?
Yeah, sure. Those who don't know me, and Ramo and I we used to do a weekly podcast on Carlton. And my space is, I'm initially from the entertainment business. So I used to head up some record labels. I was a producer for X Factor, The Voice, those type of TV programs. In the last 6 years, I'm in a space of mental fitness, mindfulness. So I help athletes, teams. I've worked with Bashahuli Foundation on the football side of things. And and I work with artists, etc., and just make them mentally fit. Mm-hmm. So this is what I do. So music and mind, this is what I do. And over to you, Ramo.
That's a good intro, man. That's mine is nowhere near as exciting as his. Like I've been privileged enough to work as a headhunter for it's 20 years now this year. So and throughout that time, probably the last 12 or so years, have been lucky enough to sort of work on a more of a executive search or a senior basis, where I've helped sort of anywhere from your sort of big 4 consultancies to your large multinationals, and probably more recently over the last 3 or 4 years, tech startups sort of scale up their business. And I've put a few boards together here and in Europe over the last probably 2 or 3 years as well, which has given me some insight into obviously what's been happening at our football club as well. So that headhunter background obviously gives me some expertise in the HR side of things and the people and culture side of things as well. So, best practices and high performance cultures is something that I work with alongside my clients. So again, that sort of insight, I always sort of use that sort of experience of mine to look at what's happening at our great club.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm hearing high performance. I'm hearing hard hitters. Sound like the Luke Sayers mandate. It's good. We're united.
Well, he does come from that big 4 sort of background, and I've said to Rich like many times off air, like if he's going to hold down that position for a very long time in one of the big sort of consultancies, like you've got to be doing something right. So you can't just be a numpty sort of sitting in that sort of chair for that long. Like you'll be found out. So he's got the sort of qualities, and let's just hope he can transfer that into the football club.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think that because he's been successful at PwC in the way that he has, that it can translate?
I think the skills that he has acquired over his journey throughout his career should make him far more equipped to be able to sort of run this football club, as long as he can differentiate the difference between running a big corporation like that and then running a member-based football club like the Carlton Football Club, right? So he needs to use certain elements of what he's learned, but he also needs to take in advice from other people from the football club who are currently there to sort of get the best out of what he knows.
No, I'm excited. I mean, from my point, look, we're always excited this time of year. It's this is the time when hopes and dreams start getting manifested in your mind and what could be. And if only this player just takes that next step, we'll be great. So, but yeah, there needed to be a change up this year, because I don't know about you guys, I found 2021 to be almost a waste of time.
Yeah, I was the same for last year as well, to be honest. I mean, I was we're always speaking like after every game, just like, it was like a shorter season and, everyone was abroad in their hubs and whatnot. And I was just like, last year probably hurt me a lot more because we didn't rotate enough last year compared to what I thought we would and give more players a chance. And then that sort of made us take that backward step. And then we just kept that sort of backward momentum, where we just kept on doing the same sort of mistakes. And then it ended up being a 2-year sort of just painful experience where we just missed an opportunity for some young kids to just get more game time, develop a better game plan. And we missed that boat.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. I'm sure we'll touch on it later on as well. But I want to touch quickly on an update from last week. So obviously the Doing It for Doc movement is now at a situation where they've raised 186,243. So it is amazing the funds that have been raised and the awareness that has been spread. But I want to talk with you guys and you guys in the audience too. Please share your feedback. I've never seen anything like this before from a sports team, and I'm not sure. Maybe I haven't been around long enough. But did you guys look at what happened with everyone shaving their heads in the playing group and the staff and whatnot as a real sign of unity, or is it just a coincidence?
Rich, want to go?
No, I would say it's unity. It's great. It just shows the love they have for the captain, and it's great. I mean, these are little things, but it just moves so quickly, and it's great to see that everyone's, got on board. I'm not sure Plowman did it, did he?
Yeah, he did it. They all did it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There was some hate. There was some hate coming his way because he didn't do it straight away. People were getting mad. They thought he was. Plowman is someone that very easily attracts criticism from the fan base.
Yeah. No, it's great. It's great, and the money that's raised and for the awareness, it's fabulous.
I think from a cultural point of view, I think people like Chera coming in new to the club, Hewitt coming in, doing it straight away off the bat, no personal relationship with Doc at all. I don't think this would have happened. And look, it's hard to say, but I'm just going to go out there and say, I don't think this would have happened 2-3 years ago. I don't think the togetherness was there where everyone would have done it, right? It would have been more of a social media buzz potentially sort of thing and whatnot. But this didn't feel like an ice bucket challenge or one of those sort of, things that just spread like wildfire. This felt like something that was done internally, that was shared externally. And it wasn't done for the external world. It was done because they all got around each other. And I can't remember the last time I thought of our football club in a way where they all got around each other like this.
It's impressive.
Yeah. There was a lot of criticism this year about the cohesion, about the unity, about them, not playing for each other or not being there for each other. And questions were asked about them throughout the year, that they were a little bit selfish and they had their little factions. And I mean, look, it's a great cause. I hope that it translates to on field in the way that they play, but it's a really, really heartwarming sign for me.
Mate, on that, I mean, I remember once I went to the footy back in Princes Park with my old man. We used to go every week, and he used to always complain to me walking back to the car about how, and this was towards the end of the sort of Princes Park sort of era when we started becoming sort of quite bad, right? And he's like, our players don't lift each other up from the ground, right? So when someone's like the last to get up from the pack, you very rarely see the teammate sort of pick him up off the ground to get him up, to get him ready, right? And that kind of just stayed with me every single time we went through all this rut of this last sort of 20-odd sort of years where we didn't protect Judd nowhere near enough back in the day when he was getting hit. We had no sort of midfielders to sort of block for him and whatnot. And we don't really have those people apart from Leon Stocker recently who flies the flag and just comes running in whenever someone gets bumped or hit. So seeing this shave the head sort of thing now, I'm just crossing my fingers hoping that this is the start of a new sort of culture in the club that has been, longly lacking for just so long.
Overdue.
Overdue.
Absolutely. I mean, we're going to touch on the best and fairest, shortly, but there was something else I noticed at watching the BNF where Murphy and Betts did their little sort of speech, and then obviously Casbolt's gone, and it's really like the handover is complete. I know there are a lot of people that were probably asking for it a year ago or even longer before that, but it's really a new group. Like it's like who now leads the way in terms of being the Carlton person. And I was having a chat this afternoon with Maddie, who I did an episode of Carlton People with. She was talking about it's Jack Silvani now, but whoever's now taken the club per se as a playing group, they're all very young.
Yeah, they are. And it's an opportunity for them. They need to see it as a huge opportunity to sort of stamp their own personal brand on this football club, and not have to just follow what was there before them. They can impact the club now. So like if you're how many players on a list and how many teams, like there are 500 players odd or 600 players in the competition. Not many are given that opportunity to sort of have a huge impact in the dynamic and the culture of a football club, right? So the club's given these potential individuals like Jack a huge opportunity to sort of make it their own. And that's massive. Like you will live with that for the next 10 years, in 20 years, even beyond your career, that in that era when you were there, you had a huge impact on how the culture was.
Yeah, no, spot on. Where are you guys sitting with leadership and captaincy? Are you wanting to change up, or are you still in the Cripps camp? A lot of people will say, Wiedering and Walsh, give it over.
I think there needs to be a change. Personally, I think there needs to be a change. Yeah, I don't. Ramo.
Yeah. I think Doc for obvious reasons, but I think Cripper could do with not having him feel like he has to do everything all the time. And he can still lead by his performances, but I don't think he needs to be the skipper. I don't even think Walsh either, to be honest. I just think it needs to be Wieders and nothing else but Wieders. I think he's the best media performer. So I think if times are tough and you put someone in front of a camera, he's the one that will handle it the best. And I think I'm quite old school, so I think the one either in the forward line or in defence who has a better view of the pitch, that person will be able to sort of see a lot more things clearer, and he's not in the midst of it all the time, so he can direct a lot more. So potentially that. So I would say Wieders.
Same.
I was in the camp. I was in the camp of changing it over to Wiedering, and then I watched this. I don't know if it's a series or just a once-off doco. It's on the AFL website. It's called Dynasties, and it basically, I'm assuming it's going to go through, Brisbane, Dynasty, Geelong, Richmond, Hawthorn, etc. And it was the Brisbane one, and all the players are talking, and then you're watching Voss and Power, you're watching the environment that they came from, and then you're watching what happened when Lee Matthews got to the club and turned it around, and what happened. And I don't know, it might be me just drinking the Kool-Aid. I just saw a lot of Voss in Cripps. And I don't know if Cripps has had a coach that knows how to get the most out of him yet. And I just think that Voss can really tell him what to do, how to do it as a leader, as a captain, as an enforcer like Voss was. Because for me, I just think, he's been injured, whatever the case may be. I don't know. I don't know what happened this year and last year. I would assume he's been, not 100% healthy. But for me, he's just got to get back to his physical best, tackling and handballing out to a Sam Walsh or to an Adam Chera. And that's really all he needs to do. I don't need to see him trying to take on three guys and kick a goal from 60.
I agree. But to that point, do you think burdening him with the captaincy while he's just trying to get his body right and trying to get back to playing his best football is the smartest thing? And also burdening Voss in his first I'm a coaching gig after how many years to come into the club with all the other expectations on top of him, to then have to say, by the way, turn Cripper back into the leader that we hope that he would become. There's a lot of things that point towards there's a potential easier option just to the right or left, as opposed to just trying to make what we thought 2-3 years ago was the right thing and was going to be the best thing for the football club. Again, he can still lead, but I just think Wieders just has a lot more natural leadership qualities in him that you don't have to teach. And at the moment, with all the other transformation happening in the football club, on field and off field, I just think the easier option sometimes, the more obvious option, which is someone like Weeders, who's a natural leader, is probably the best option.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, this is kind of what we've been asking for 3-4 years. It's kind of been the Cripps show. It's like who else is going to emerge now? And I don't think that's the case anymore. There's, you look at the three young ones, Harry, Sam, and Jacob. That they really did carry us and lead us this year. Cripps was okay, a little bit better than last year, but still probably not to the expectations that we have of him or that he has of himself. But that's where I think the excitement comes, because even a few years ago it was still the Cripps show, whereas now there is a lot more that he can let off, and maybe that's something he needs to work on, being able to let go. Like, I remember watching The Last Dance and hearing Phil Jackson talk about Michael Jordan and about he was the best player, but he never became the best until he learnt to trust and sacrifice and make his teammates better.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Pippen was crucial to who Michael Jordan was, right? So, without Pippen, would there have been the Jordan that we saw? Probably not. But it worked both ways. Pippen had to be who he was, but Jordan had to also allow him to be who he was. And Cripps is now in that sort of mindset. The way that we look and the way that he looks from the outside is that he is just trying to do too much. That's a hard mental sort of thing. And Rash, you can touch on this. That mental state that he's in now, which is, I need to do this because the club has almost had this belief that we can't drop him because we can't win without him. So it's that sense of empowerment now in his brain, which is false, which is, I have to do everything. Even if I'm free, I'm gonna barnstorm through another tackle that I didn't even need to go through, because I'm going to show my competitors that I can break anything, because I'm the bigger bodied midfielder that has just been dominating, right? So it's just that mindset now. How do you wind him back and say, buddy, like you said, just feed it to Walshy, feed it to Chera, and just do your job, just do the basics really well, to a guy that was the MVP 2 years ago or 3 years ago, right? So it's tough.
I think it's part of his DNA too. It's his personality that he takes it on. He leads from the front. He thinks that that's the best way to do it. And I think if Voss can get through to him and get the best out of him and show him that, it doesn't mean like if a good leader, you'd know this, Ramo too, leads from example, but also allows his team, trust in his team to do the right things. So I don't think, if he's got trust in that way and it's a mindset shift, then he's going to become a better leader. So I'm either which way, whether they keep him on as a leader or they give him the back seat, either which way. As long as we get the best out of Cripps, that's what they want.
Yeah. I think your point is right there, Terry. I think acknowledging that he's been a captain in a regime of coaching panel and coaching staff that has been well below par, right? So the guidance and the direction that he's received or lack of has been, beyond the joke. So do we cut him some slack or cut his leadership some slack because he hasn't been in an environment that has been hugely successful with people who can guide him and steer him towards the right thing? I mean, I've worked in businesses where there's been guys in his company that are 15-year veterans. They're group directors, they're C-suite and whatnot, and they've been removed from leadership teams. So they're got senior titles, but they're not in the actual leadership team for the business, because they're not the ones who are influencing others. They're not the ones who are empowering others. Yes, they do their job and they do it well based on their day-to-day, but they're not the ones who are leading the business forward, right? So it's a tough one for Cripps, because I say just go with the easier option with Weeders, but if by some chance the new culture has embedded into that ecosystem so early and they can make those changes right away, then yeah, you accept it, but I think there's an easier option.
I think also the other thing is, just one more thing on Cripps, is that I'm sure he was injured most of the year anyway, and he would have made the call without no one being strong enough. Listen, you're not playing this week. You're taking 2 weeks off. So I think that with Voss coming in, if there's change there where they say, right, you're having a rest, you're not playing. We don't need. You're fine. then that's going to make a difference. The management of his body is really important.
Mm.
And it's been poor. Let's be honest.
Very poor.
He's walked around in some of those games where I've seen him fall down, and they can go to a commercial break, and he's still not up on his feet. Like, he's still trying to get up.
Yeah.
Like, he's laboring. You know what I mean? Like, there were some glimpses where he showed like great form, but like all in all, his body. Like, can you imagine just going through that sort of 120 minutes of just body aching pain? It's just it's just hard for him. Too hard. They managed him poorly.
And the other thing is, I mean, ultimately the idea is he needs to be playing. We need to be playing finals footy. So he's got to be playing the 22, 23 plus 3 or 4 finals matches. And, by the time you get to the grand final, the body has been through a lot. And he is a guy, yes, I understand. But people love to remind me that, he worked so hard, he's done so much, and he's done it for so long. There's just got to be a way to get him through. I mean, if Josh Kennedy can be a contested midfielder for how many years at Sydney, Luke Parker's been doing it for a long time. Dangerfield's been doing it for a very long time. I don't see a reason why we can't find a way to manage Cripps to the way that we can get him all the way through to a grand final at his best.
Yeah, but I think the other players that you mentioned, like Kennedy and Danger, not too many of them have been battered the way that Cripps has been battered earlier on in their careers. So Cripps took a battering from age 20, right? He took the load from that young age, similar to like Judd, right? When Judd just did so much in his early days with the Eagles, by the time he came to us, he transformed from an outside breakout sort of midfielder where he was kicking 4 goals from the center to becoming more of a sort of inside grunt contested ball machine, right? Because he had to. But in the end, that also took an impact on his body. He lost his pace. He lost like certain things. So Cripper wasn't even blessed with pace to begin with, even in the early days. So if you manage him, and it's not necessarily maybe even dropping him, maybe you just less game time, less time in the center square. Teach him how to kick for goal. Every day, 100 shots for goal, so he can kick for goal accurately and drop forward for like 5-10 minutes every quarter. It's another option. They just need to manage him better. That's all. Yeah. And don't expect him to just fight through pain all the time because he's a monster.
It's true. Yeah. All right. Let's talk a little bit about the John Nichols medal. I don't think it was a surprise to anybody that Walshy won the best and fairest. I'll just run through. It was actually, you know what? You're right. It was a lot closer than what I thought. Well, a lot of us thought it was. I think most people had Walsh far ahead of Wiedering, but it didn't turn out that way. He won a couple of awards. He won the Carltonians William A. Cook Trophy, the Bill Lanyon Inner Blue Ruthless Award, and the John Nichols Medal. Wiedering got some love as well. He won the MV, the Most Valuable Blue Bagger, and the Coaches Award, and obviously was runner-up. Harry won. He was third place. Jack Silvani was the winner of the Spirit of Carlton Award, and this one was one I really liked to see. It was Liam Stocker for the Best Young Player, and then Pito won the Best Clubman. But I do want to touch on Stocker because with all that went on and with all the disappointment, and we didn't make finals and underperformed, we kind of forgot about the Liam Stocker story because 12 months ago, we just had no idea. Where is he at? Is he okay? Is he going to play? Is he going to make it? And I think we ended the season really confident in his trajectory now.
Oh, we love him, don't we, Rash? We love him.
He's a gun. He's tough as nuts.
Yeah.
Apart from the fact he's probably the best looking bloke in the AFL right now. He is literally the grunt he has. We haven't had that for a very, very, very long time. That is some genuine, like just painful sort of hits that he hits with. You know what I mean? So he's I'm curious to know whether they're going to use him on the ball though. Are they going to just lock him down in that sort of back pocket, which would just wind me up every single week? But like, I just think on the ball, that grunt, that attitude, that sort of, team first sort of ethos that it seems to be ingrained in him. Put him on the ball and let him loose and see what you can find.
Yeah, I think so. Rash, what do you think?
I totally agree. I love the fact that he's a different type of guy. He's an expat, grew up in Hong Kong. So I think you got to play him. He's a midfielder. So giving him the back pocket or whatever. I don't know if those know that Brett Radden, when he first started his career, he was in the back pocket.
Yeah, mate.
So,
back pocket. Was he really?
He was, yeah. So
91, 92, he was back pocket.
93 grand final, he was half back or like back pocket in the 93 loss in the grand final.
Wow.
And then
There's some
Diesel.
news.
It was your mate Diesel who actually took him under. So in 95, my sister was the actual sports psychologist for Ange Christou in the 95 grand final, right? So we got some insight into what was happening that year. So Diesel was one of the driving forces behind bringing Rats from the defense and putting him into the midfield and worked on his skills. So worked on his hand passes, worked on his kicking both feet. So you notice how Rats could kick both feet very, very comfortably, right? So that was Diesel's work back in the day.
Diesel. He's good for the club, mate. He's very good for the club.
He is good for the club. He is good for the club.
Well, wrapped his back there.
Yeah. I mean, with Stocks, what I loved about this year, I mean, he did some interviews. He opened up a little bit about last year. And it's interesting because we might talk a little bit about Petreski-Seton and whatnot, because obviously Petreski-Seton saw himself as a mid-forward, whatever. I'm sure Liam Stocker sees himself as a midfielder, but his attitude this year was, I'm just grateful to play. I'll just play. I just want to play AFL football. And it showed because it's not his natural position. I don't know how many times he played as a back pocket player in his junior days. But for someone who doesn't have it naturally as what he's grown up doing, the competitiveness stood out. And I even think it rubbed off on some other guys. I mean, I remember seeing Plowman in scuffs and whatnot that I haven't really seen that too often. And I think you got this young 20, 21-year-old who's willing to sacrifice his body and hurt guys. If you're a 26, 27-year-old, you have to do it. You've got no choice.
Yeah. You have to do it. 100%.
That's an example.
Yeah.
That's an example. 100%. And
yeah.
Just play people to their strengths. Like Samo's like you brought him up. Samo's got talent. Like everyone who has watched him knows that he's got talent. He can sidestep, he can find his way through like a pack. He's got the skill. He probably didn't utilize his kicking skills nowhere near as much as what he should have. A lot of dinky kicks more than sort of nice passes that he's more than capable of doing. Samo for me was he was poorly managed by the club, horribly managed actually. Played in the wrong position. You got to have grunt like Stocker to be able to pull off going back to halfback. Chris Yarran was another one who was put off halfback. Yarran offered supreme run off halfback though. So you could sacrifice the fact that Yarran was a horrible one-on-one defender because the run that he gave you off halfback was Johannesson-like in that Norm Smith sort of grand final year, right? Yeah. So you could swallow that. But when Samo was just hanging around defensive 50 and just dinking around to Jones and to Wiedering and to Plowman and not really giving us any sort of rebound or penetration into the midfield and forward, sooner or later, you have to realize you've got a guy with more skill than to just let him just dink it around there. Put him closer to the midfield, to the goal, because he's not a great defender. So just put him there. And if you determine that he doesn't have the tank or the work ethic to play midfield forward, then you make the call. I'm assuming they made that call that he just doesn't have the tank or the work ethic. That's the only thing from an external point of view that would make me think they weren't offering him a contract because they just think he doesn't have it, and he'll show flashes of brilliance, which almost every Carlton supporter who loves him next year will be on your channel, Terry, and they'll be saying, "Oh my God, how did he get rid of Samo? I can't believe it. Look at it. He tore it up for West Coast this game, this and this, blah blah." But then he will go missing because I just don't see the consistency in this guy. That's all. So I was not disappointed to see him go, but I do have to admit, it wasn't his fault. He was horribly managed by the club.
You there, Rash?
I think we lost him.
I think we lost him. He'll be back. Yeah. I mean, the thing with Samo too, I mean, I'm with you. I'm with you in terms of like he wasn't from the outside looking in, it seemingly he wasn't coached right. And also David Teague admitted they tried to turn him into a Chris Yarran type as he described it. And that And, fair play, he admitted it didn't work. But I never really saw him, and this goes for a lot of them, they never got bigger. They never got stronger. You look at the Brisbane Lions guys, every year you look at them, you're like, geez, look at the size of Jared Berry. Look at the size of, even Lockie Neal, who wasn't a youngster, but Samo started off for me as the cowboy, loved the bull riding and he loved tackling and he loved getting in the thick of it. And then just became this finesse type player,
And look, and even with that finesse type player, you got arguably the best finesse type player in Scott Pendlebury, who became huge. His body is immaculate for a footballer. Broad shoulders, very ripped. This guy could handle the ins and outs of the midfield, right? So you can still have the finesse and the delicacy of a sidestep or two, but you need to be able to sort of get your body strong enough, especially your core, to be able to handle the rigors of a AFL football. And you're right, I don't see many of us sort of, oh shit, this guy's put on a lot of size over the preseason, over the last 2 years. Look at him now compared to his draft year. Not many transformations, at our football club. So what was actually happening there with their sort of training?
There does seem to be this obsession with speed. I'm of the opinion, let's not get speed in the team because the ball moves quicker than any man can. Let's get tough footballers that can kick the ball efficiently.
Oh, mate, we're kicking the ball efficiently. I mean, that's how many times do we have our head in our hands just, oh, no, he's got it. Give it to someone else, please. Liam Jones, perfect example, right? Liam Jones, amazing contested mark, amazing intercept. But the man that should be, the message should go out. He marks the ball. Williams, Sard, go to his feet, go to him, take the hand pass, and then you deliver it. Do not let him kick the ball. Simple as that. These are basic things, right? You should know this.
But then you can have the flip side of that, Ramo, is that you can have someone like Lockie O'Brien who's got elite kicking. But you can argue is he good enough? Got the elite kicking.
Mate, but do we know enough? Do we know enough of this kid to know whether or not he has it? There are signs that would say that he probably doesn't. His body's really, really small. But again, Andrew Gaff, his first 4 or 5 years, Andrew Gaff was a twig, mate. He wasn't the way that he is now. He built size in his thighs, in his hips, in his shoulders over time. Obviously, Lockie O'Brien has probably become skinnier now than what he was when he got drafted. So maybe he's got that sort of Simo sort of a body type. But you have to see them play in their position to know whether or not you're going to make a call on these guys. And not many of them have played enough.
Just the point on Lockie is that I'm happy they've put him as a rookie anyway. So that'll make him hungry, just like what they did with Matty Kennedy, Bam Bam. So that'll get him hungry. And if he's good enough, they're going to give him another year and he makes it. Great. If he wasn't a top 10 draft pick, you would have easily departed with him.
I think so.
To be honest.
Yeah. In the space of, what was he drafted in? End of 2017, he's drafted. And then end of 2021, 4 years later, he's on the rookie list, which I don't think is a bad thing either. I think it's one of those, humbling, we'll call it, experiences. Go back to the basics now. He's got 12 months to make the club decide whether or not they give him another year. And I don't mind that at all, because I think you go one way or the other. You end up like a Gibbons or a Samo, you leave, or you end up like a Matt Kennedy and you eat the dirt and you do what you got to do and you figure it out.
Yeah. Agree.
Let's hope he does, because our wing stocks are quite thin. So let's hope he does step up, because there's no.
What's the story with Jack Nunes? Is he being delisted?
No, don't think so. No, I think he's I think he's still on there. Yeah,
he's on there, mate. I know, Rich. I know what you're feeling. It's all right, buddy.
You feel like he needed to go?
Oh yes, of course.
Is he not someone that you could have as like your 28th, 29th player on the list if you get bulk injuries, come in and fill a role?
Yeah, I'll accept that too, but not to play him week in, week out.
Yeah, fair.
So,
Yeah.
Which I'm scared of that he will.
Yeah. Well,
There has to be other options.
We'll talk about the list now that we know what it's going to look like minus the new draft picks. So trade period's done. Fascinatingly to me, it was done very efficiently, no bullshit. It was done within the first couple of days. They targeted what they wanted, midfield depth, defensive running. They got it in Hewitt and Chera and a key position player in Young. What did you guys think overall of what we lost and what we gained?
Look,
Go right.
I'm happy. I'm happy with I'm not as bullish of Chera's hype, but I'm optimistic that he can fulfill this sort of hype around him, that he can be an A-grader. I really hope he's got the sort of makings of it, but he hasn't done too much to make me sit back and say and be.
Rash, we might get you to continue on from there.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
No, I think he's cutting out. I think there's some problems in Dubai with the internet. Look, from my perspective, I mean, I think George Hewitt's good. I like Young. I watched him play against us. I think he had a really good game. He probably got votes. So no, I'm pretty content. And I'm not a massive fan of Chera. I'm not going to over expect things. But yeah, I'm okay with it. I think we did pretty good out of it. And leaving like Gibbons, I don't think is a major loss anyway. To be honest, I think if you put Stocker in there and you fill in some parts, and then you got next year you get Cunningham back and you get Marchbank and a couple other things, and we're okay with injuries. I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, we had a good, really good discussion about Michael Gibbons last week. I was a little bit upset at the way he went about it. It was just unnecessary for me. It didn't need to get to where it got to. No,
it didn't. So, but he was a favourite son there. What I understood is that the players they like him a lot. Like he was a popular kid.
Yes, I got that vibe too. I definitely got that vibe as well. He was a bit of a someone that brought the energy. I just thought that. I mean, I forgive now. We move on. I just would have liked to have heard something along the lines of, I was grateful for my opportunity to be a Carlton footballer. Amongst everything else that he said, which, whatever, he feels some type of way. I even think SCN getting him on it almost had Favola vibes. Like, what did you think he was going to say 24 hours after being delisted? Of course he's going to be a little emotional,
Well, that's the media, right? That's why channels like this are crucial for the supporter base, because the media is just looking for some stories and to push their own agenda, which we're just sick of.
Absolutely. Well, where is the list at now for you guys? Do you think we're still missing key pieces? Like, do you think we've picked 25? We've got to go get a certain type of player. Where are the holes, if any, for you?
Remo?
Midfield, still. I don't think we can ever have enough midfielders. And I would say a natural, speedy, crumbing forward. I know Josh Honey, anyone who knows me will know that I'm a huge fan of Honey, and I think he needs to play as long as he's fit. But I think midfield.
You got Durden.
Yeah, you got Durden. Yeah, so again, he could become something. I would have liked to have seen us gone for, even though they're older, like a Tom Mitchell type sort of person, just to sort of bring in that extra midfield depth, A-graders. So then you've got Cripps, Walsh, Mitchell, Chera, and that's your four. And then you've got Dow, Cunningham, and Hewitt as your next four. That's a solid rotation. Like you will barely notice, Cripps and someone else being off the pitch if you've got sort of that sort of depth, right? So, and my bugbear is we don't have enough players who get the ball. You look at stats every week, no matter who we're playing, even if we win a game or even if we're dominant, we don't get too many players like the Dogs who get 5-6 players, 30 plus touches, right? We don't have those natural footballers who know where to go to find the ball all the time. We get really excited over Dow's 21 touches game, and we're like, this is the best thing we've seen. Kennedy getting 23, and we're like, yes. Ed Kerno gets the ball a lot, but he's just horrible with the ball. So we're like almost hoping that he doesn't get the ball, right? So it's just like, so Walsh is one, Cripps used to be another one, and then it stops there. And Chera's numbers aren't like sort of overly high either, you know, from Fremantle, right? So it's not like he was averaging 30 plus, you know, in his last season there as well. So Mitchell or someone like that would have been nice to just throw them in there where they average 30 plus, and that would just help, you know, just people who can find the ball, especially in those waves when we lose those goals one after the other. What you need in that centre bounce is someone who finds the ball. Centre bounce hits, the rucks collide, and then your midfielder, who's a ball magnet, will find that ball and feed it out to someone else. And then you've got some breathing space. You go forward, not the avalanche of just the other way. And our midfielders just seem to crumble. So more midfielders, bring them in for the next 2-3
My concern is if Wiedering goes down, and hopefully he doesn't, is that there's
God.
no, hold on. There's no solid backup for him.
No, mate, there isn't.
So I reckon we're covered everywhere else, and I think Kerner will come good this year. And I think the midfield, you can develop on that, and you can get Stocker in there and a couple others to mix it up. I think Cunningham, when he comes in, hopefully he's good.
Yeah, but after a knee, you're probably hoping the year after 2023 for Cunningham again.
He'll be back mid-year.
Yeah, exactly. So like Wieders or Jones. Like, if I don't rate Jones that much, but even Jones, if Jones goes down as that second tall,
but if Jones goes down, you've got what's his name, Brackets, or you've got that young guy. So I'm okay. Or Oscar McDonald. There's about 2 or 3, right? And Marchbank. Wiedering goes, there's a problem.
Yeah, but that's the same for every team, right? You take any sort of their best defender out of every team, no matter who the team is, no matter what.
That's true.
You take the All-Australian defender out of their teams at the moment. No one's got cover for an All-Australian defender. No one's got cover for that sort of elite level sort of defender. Or Harry, if Harry goes down, same thing, right? We'll have Kerner and McGovern, but they're not Harry.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but I mean, look at Richmond. When Rance left, they had Noah Bolter, right? And Bolter was great. So can happen.
Yeah.
Well, just on the midfield.
Go, Terry.
No, I just want to go back to the midfield because you're right. You look at the Doggies, you look at Melbourne, you look at the grand final, you look at the possession numbers, and I look at there's probably 4 of them now that I look at that can at least hold their own against good midfielders in Cripps, Walsh, Chera. Chera was good for Freo when he went into the sole midfield. He averaged like 27 touches when he was playing solely as a midfielder. And then Hewitt, who the Swans fans have come on the channel as well, and they're just shattered to lose him. It's really going to be who are the next 2? Is it going to be? It's going to be 1 or 2 from like the group of Stocker, Setterfield, Dow, Kennedy. I don't know if Kemp is really relevant as a midfielder yet, maybe still a defender, but 1 or 2 of them have got to take the next step. Fisher, another one.
Yeah. I think
they're not 30 pluses, but they're not 30 pluses. None of them are. I don't rate Setterfield, to be honest. I don't know about you, Ramo.
Dow in his under 18 carnival, he was explosive. He wasn't a high position getter, so I think he averaged 19 throughout that year before he got drafted. But they were very good 19 side steps, breaking through packs and whatnot, and that's what attracted us. He had that sort of explosiveness to him, but he wasn't a ball magnet, So he's not going to become that now because I've got mates who went to a couple of games this year live. And they're like footballers themselves, they're amateur footballers, but they would tell me that watching Dow play just shows why he doesn't get the ball because he doesn't know where to run all the time. Sometimes he's lost in the chain or lost in the transition, and therefore he's not there to receive the ball or whatnot, right? So he's not always at the where he actually should be, and that's just football smarts. Like you need to know where to go. Like Brett Ratton was the slowest player, I think, in our team. But he knew where to go to find the ball all the time, and he got 35 touches a game. So like you need to know where to go, and I don't think Dow has it. Kennedy has it. Kennedy's a footballer. He's like a 90s footballer. He knows where to go to find the ball. He's just limited based on his sort of mobility and his speed for the speed of the game now. But Kennedy if he's the better player, he's the better footballer, but Dow just has more upside because can you unlock that potential? with Dal.
I reckon maybe Diesel might make a bit of a difference now. Also,
I
Are
think
you
so.
saying our football director is going to get in the trenches and actually start sort of doing some skills coaching?
I hope so, because if he has his touch on what he's done with other great players like Mitchell and Lockie Neal and etc. If he works on Paddy Dow, you might be surprised.
Let's hope so, mate. But Setterfield is another one where I was excited about 2 years ago. I'll be honest.
Well, this time last year, he was our most improved player from the year before, and obviously this year it just didn't work. They put him in this wing. He was an inside midfielder. That's what he is. And then obviously the first year he was at the club, there was like, okay, well, you're recovering from the knee, go to the wing. Then 2020, he goes into the middle, tackling machine. I think he averaged 5 or 6 tackles a game. And it was like, all right, there's something here. And then this year they tried to bring him back out. I don't know, was it to develop him and round his game out? But he's I don't understand when you put a guy who's
slow.
First instinct. Well, he's slow because he's an inside midfielder. He's not a winger. His first instinct is to get ball, not spread and be in a position.
Yeah, fair enough.
So you've got sort of a Hewitt who's a get ball. You've got Dow who's a get ball. He's actually a better inside player, Dow, than an outside player, because he can sort of just extract it. Walsh gets his own ball. Cripps gets his own ball. And Kennedy gets his own ball. Does Setterfield get a game ahead of any of those 5?
I think him and Kennedy will be fighting it out for. I think Setterfield has like another level to get to now. I think he's had a down year, but I'll give him another chance next year. I think he's got something there.
Let's hope so, because we've invested in these guys, right? Like we've given up picks and whatnot to get these guys, and hoping that at least one of them would come up. I would like one of them from the GWS sort of trade picks that we did to actually become an A grader. I think the best one that we got from GWS is a Plowman, and that's saying something.
It's absolutely Plowman.
Wow.
It's absolutely Plowman.
Wow,
we've got some hacks from there. Oh my God.
But I mean, at the end of the day, when you look at the philosophy of the new coaching group, it's all going to be about playing a hardened, powerful type of footy, and if you're not tackling, you're not playing. The way I see it. Like it's just there's not going to be that. There's no more links between David Teague and Eddie Betts and David Teague and Mitch McGovern and David Teague and Mark. There's no more links like that. It's fresh meat. And I was talking about it with my housemate last night. There's probably 8 to 10 guys who you lock them in, absolutely lock them in, and then it's kind of like anyone's job's up for grabs.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about the coaching, and if we can talk about it a bit later, but what your thoughts are on like Hamill and Tim Clark and whoever's came in. What's his name from the Bulldogs has come in also?
Ashley Hansen.
Yeah. What do you guys think? As because I love Hamill, just want to say that, and I loved him as a player. But is he the guy? Is he the best guy for the job? I wonder if Voss actually picked him. Or is that pulling on our heartstrings to get another Carlton story?
It could be, but ultimately, I think Voss spoke about it as well when he was hired. He said we need to embrace the past and who we are and tell the Carlton story. I think Hamill can definitely do that. I just get he's got a hardened edge to him, the way he played, the way he talks, the way he coached. I just see a group. I mean, ultimately, I don't know. I really don't. I would be surprised if Voss had no input in the assistant coaches, though.
What do you think, Ramo? I think Ramo's cutting out.
I think we've lost Ramo. We'll get him back soon. I might.
What about Tim Clark? What about him? Well, I'm saying, he was at Carlton with Bolton, and then he's gone to Gold Coast. Has he really done some major things? Well, I'm just putting it out there. I'm not being negative or anything. Just putting it out there.
No, I mean, you can be what you want. I mean, he's worked with some players that have developed really well. I think Pom put a little post up in the Blue Abroad group talking about who he worked with, when he went, where he went. So, I think, he's highly respected everywhere he's gone. My first reaction was Oh God, he was around when Bolton was around. We couldn't get it to work. I don't know. We're going to find out. I think it's going to take 5 or 6 rounds to know what the impact is, really.
Okay,
Even longer.
fair enough.
Yeah. Speaking of Pom, let's bring him in. He's got maybe he can tell
The
us
Pom
about
man.
Tim Clark.
He's bagging our internet.
Yeah, I was going to say, you guys were bigging up Dubai, saying that it's the most progressive country in the world. Evidently, its internet, though, is twinned with Beirut. Ironic, that, lads.
How's it going,
Pommy.
Pom man?
I'm good.
Pommy, tell us about Tim Clark.
Oh, where do I begin? Where do I begin about Mr. Timothy Clark? I mean, Tim Clark, he's probably one of my favourite Carlton acquisitions because it was the one that really separated Carlton fans from just about anywhere else. People got really upset about it. I think what is important to know about Tim Clark is you look at where he's been. Gold Coast, he's been at Carlton. He has a history of working with development, which is the key thing this year with Carlton, is that everyone that we've acquired has got a history of working with midfielders and working with juniors in development, which is kind of weird because for 2 years doing this with Terry, all I ever hear is Carlton's development is woeful. Carlton's development of youngsters is woeful. We're the worst in the world at doing it, rah. And then when we do it, people complain that it's not the right development coach. When you work in development, it doesn't matter what your pedigree is. It's about it's your body of work. That's what counts. And this guy's resume in development is phenomenal. You've got Tuck Miller there. You've got Kane Lambert when he was at Richmond. You've got Dustin Martin. The program he wrote for Richmond was accredited in 2016 with being the difference from changing Dustin Martin to a Paddy Dow. Lots of talent who showed it in glimpses to being the world dominant force you saw 2017. So for me, that's probably my favourite acquisition out of all of them. Out of all of them is Tim Clark, because the guy has got maximum impact out of players historically at one of the biggest clubs in the country in the last 20 years. So I like it. I mean, basically, in my opinion, since Luke Sayers has come on, it's been hit after hit. And I think anyone who disagrees with that either has no football acumen or has a reason to hate Carlton, has an ulterior motive, because the acquisitions fit the bill of everything you wanted. If you had a blank piece of paper when Teague went and said what you wanted, you've pretty much got what you needed.
Okay.
That's Tim
Tell
Clark.
you what, usually I get something back. Don't agree with me.
I
Say hello
didn't agree
like
with you.
Sinead does to
I just said okay.
I would say this. I said this to Rich last week when he asked me. I said, listen, I think we had the worst assistant coaching panel that was formed together over the last couple of years, I think, in the history of the AFL. So whoever we bring in is going to be an upgrade. So whatever backgrounds they have, they're going to do better than what we had. So I'm not sure the capabilities of Hamill and Clark and Hansen. There's good reports and bad reports, but let's be honest, no one's going to sign someone and say, listen, we signed Tim Clark or we signed Aaron Hamill. He was shit for a couple of years, and but now he's actually come good. It's always going to be like some sort of positive thing about his own growth and their own development and what they've accomplished. So let's just embed him into the club, get him to start working with the players, and hopefully get some sort of improvement. Because the reality is, as much as we've been shit, if we become a 4-goal better team, that's just an absolute game changer. And that's all, and that can be easily tweaked with the players that we have, based on defensive structures, based on the offensive cohesion, based on the rotation in the midfield. You do these little things, and you save a goal here, you score a goal there. If you add 4 goals to our scoreline every single game this year, there are a lot of games that we win and don't lose, which we play finals, right? So it's not too much. We don't have to come back or come into it from too far away.
I agree with you. I think the most wonderful thing about Carlton Football Club this year is the last 10. For the last 4 coaches, this is the first time we've had a new coach who's brought his entire back room. So the last two have had to have a good 70% of their coaches handed over, which I always said at the time, coming from a soccer background, you are twinned with your coach. When he gets shot in the head, you get shot in the head too. No ifs, buts, maybes. And I just can't imagine being the head coach of a football club with someone like Barker, who he would be like Jonah in the story Jonah and the Whale. Every time he gets on the boat sinks. Like, I would have been bricking myself. You know, when John Barker walked in and was like, "You're right, Pom, how you doing, mate? Good luck with the job." I'd be like, "Weren't you here with the last three who got sacked? Can we sack him? Does he have to be here?" Like, so, I mean, I think that's a good thing. And I think when you hear what Voss has said, he's had a hand in all of these coaches. I thought hearing the players talk in the little bits we've had, that Voss has been massively character building with these players, which I thought was interesting when you've got Cripps saying it as if it's a new thing, which alludes to me that Bolton and Teague never did this. The first cause. There's no point going into business now. They're on holiday. But what is important is you let them know what you're about, let you know what you were about, and getting that body, that relationship working. And I thought it was weird to hear some of these senior players talk about as if that's a new thing to them. They weren't saying this has always happened. They made a habit of saying, "Oh, he got on the phone and he introduced me the day he was here. Oh, we knew the day he'd signed." That kind of alarms me, because that was what I thought has been happening at Carlton. Kind of, this is your new boss. He's in charge of you now. Good luck.
That's culture,
and it was
man.
good to hear.
That's culture. That's culture, like an organization induction.
It is culture, but we had this. I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago, maybe even longer, 6 years ago. Mark Murphy came out and started talking about the new sort of standards at the football club. I think it was after Malthouse, right? And just how we're doing things differently now. And in my time at the club, we've never done anything like this. And that was just like, I was scratching my head thinking, how didn't we do this in your time? Basic sort of training regimes and whatnot. So again, hearing players talk about this is going to excite me less this day compared to previous years, because we've heard it before now. I want to see it. I want to see how they train. I want to see how they front up. I want to see a game style. I want to see a structure. I don't want to see individual brilliance getting us over the line. You know, we're talking about your team, Man United, mate. I know this is a AFL podcast, but you know, Man United are the equivalent to Carlton to a certain degree. A lot of flashy individual brilliance that wins you a game here and there, but you get opened up by a team who's got great structure and great game plan, and you can't counter it because they're poorly coached and they're poorly managed. So, you know, how do you change that? You don't get rid of the players and then keep on using that same system. You get someone who can get the best out of these players. So, and that is standards, that is high performance culture, that is, you know, driving everything, and that is getting the best out of your individuals by playing them to their strengths and letting people know to play within their limits as well. Don't do things that are just like Liam Jones. Don't try and pick off that 35-meter worm burner around the corner that you don't need to do. Play the basics first. You know, have that sort of mandate in the football club. That's how a real culture is actually built. So if he does that, his team do that. It's a buy-in, Remo. Of course it's a buy-in, mate. Of course it's a buy-in, but it seems like he's doing the right things right away because he's having these conversations and he's setting the tone, like what Pommy said. He's saying, this is what you're going to walk back into when you come back to pre-season. It's going to be like this. Whatever you think you were doing or whatever you were doing at this football club, forget about it, mate. Rinse it from your brain. It's never happening again. It's going to be this way now. This is the football club. These are the standards. And if he can set that tone and he can hold them accountable to make sure they actually fulfill that, you can't complain because the talent is there.
Now, Spawn, love it, gents. Love your work. Nice to see you, Terry, as well. You're looking very good, mate, honestly.
He's a bad boy, man. He's a bad boy. He's got the bad boy look on.
Should we highlight that Rich didn't shave his head for Doc? You know, is that like, what are you doing, mate?
Yeah, get on Twitter. Hashtag reach out.
My hair's always short, Ramo, and you're bald.
It's my shame, mate. I had long locks before that. You know, I had a long ponytail.
Bullshit.
Well, thank you very much for having me, boys. Much love.
All right, Pom. We'll speak to you soon.
Love you,
Pom.
Righty, we've got a couple in the waiting room. We've got four people in the waiting room. Ramo, are you good to hang around for a bit more, or do you have to go?
Mate, I got the tap on the shoulder 5 minutes ago, mate. So I probably do need to head off as I'm 5 minutes late for a meeting.
Not a problem. Hey, thanks for joining tonight. Really appreciate it, man.
I really enjoyed it, mate. Thanks for everything, Terry. Rash,
No
good
worries.
one, mate.
We'll chat soon.
See you guys.
So Rash and I are going to take on the fan cams to close the show out. We love it.
All righty.
All right, we're going to get young Helena in. Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Hey, Helena.
Good, thanks. It's been a while since I've been on, so
it has.
It's good to be back.
Talk to me. Talk to us.
So I just had a question for Rash. You said you worked in sort of mindset athlete sort of space, and like we've seen a few times with the boys out in the field, when things seem to get tough, we sort of tend to just crumble, and in red time we cop lots of goals. Do you think that's a mental thing as much as a fitness thing? And is it something you can sort of coach out of the players, or is it something that's just become so ingrained in them over the years? Like,
all right, that's a great question. I don't think it's fitness, because we're supposed to have the best fitness guru in the land. So I definitely think it's mental, and it's a bit subjective from my side. Okay.
Yeah.
And just like anything, which I work with people that have had, bad habits. Let's say, for example, someone that stutters. Okay. It's an unconscious behavior. So if you've got the willingness to learn and change, and you're teachable, anything can be changed. It's like someone's got a habit of smoking. It's the same thing. So I can't stop smoking. But if you've got the willingness, and this is what I do, is I work with people, and they can definitely change. And we had this Carlton People episode with Terry, and I was talking about it. It's like it's training. Just like you train for your body, you got to train for the mind. And I think that at the Blues we need to do that. And once that's at its optimum, remove these negative limited beliefs. They're kicking another goal or whatever. It's the training of that, and definitely can change. 100%. I've seen it happen so many times.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting because, you have. Thank you. It's something that it tends to happen a lot.
Yeah, exactly. It does. It happens a lot. And I mean, that they are physically fit. They're not fit. I don't
think they're mentally fit.
Yeah, maybe not mental.
We discussed that last time. And, remember we were talking about the New Year's resolution, that same sort of that metaphor of going, hey, I'm going to quit smoking, I'm going to lose weight, or I'm going to open up a business, whatever it is. And you do it for like a week or 2 weeks, and then you go back to your old habits. So because when you're not fit in the mental side, you go back to your old habits, because the unconscious mind will always go for the easiest route. That's what they need to do.
If you think back to round one, where we played a pretty whole game, like all round, we gave a good effort. It's probably the most full-court effort I can almost remember. And then towards the end of the year, that tends to sort of drop off. So that could be what you're saying there.
Yeah, no, sure. They need to definitely work on that. It's super important. If you look at teams like that have adopted this sort of stuff, like Richmond, etc., just look at the difference in them. There's that want, there's that love. They've bought in, and they've, even when they're challenged, they still believe that they can do it.
Absolutely.
And that's got to do with repetition, just like you do repetition with the weights. It's same thing for that.
Yeah.
So I hope I've helped.
You notice a difference. No, it's been good chat. You definitely notice when you play against some mentally fitter teams.
Absolutely.
How you compare. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think everyone's pretty much fit, like physically fit on the same level. They do their preseason, they do their time trials, and etc. I think that the winning formula is the mental side, to be honest. And I'm not saying
it gives you that edge.
But it's the edge for sure.
Yeah, but they've got to do it first, right? As in, they've got to do it, like as in they've got to win 3 in a row, for example, that they haven't done in a long time. Then once they do it,
they've got to visualize it. They've got to see it first. They've got to be guided. Sorry, I went on my little tangent, but they've got to be guided to that.
While you're here.
They've got to be guided to that. They've got to see it. I'll show you a little technique. If I do it with people, is if you point your finger across and you just do a normal turn. If you want to try it, I'll give you the example. You try that, And yeah, so put your finger out in front of you.
Yeah.
Then we're doing something right now, right?
Let's do it.
It's good.
Finger in front of you, like so. And just take a natural turn and then bring it back. All right? And now come back. Now close your eyes, Helena. We're going to do something live, okay? You too, Terry. Now what I want you to do is I want you to imagine that you're going all the way around. I want you to visualize that you're going like almost like an owl. It's real fun.
And do it with my hand?
No, as just see it. I want you to see it. And I want you to imagine, hear the wind, see yourself going all the way around. Now open up your eyes, now, and look at me, and now do your turn and notice the difference. Now, do you notice it went a little bit further?
Yes.
Similar to Rocco's on with the hand almost.
Exactly. So same sort of thing.
Yes.
So when you
it's
see
all-
it, until you see it, the mind will always go for an automatic. Sorry, Terry took over with psychology, but
Fine.
That's
till your
awesome.
mind sees it, it'll always go for the shortcut. The unconscious mind always goes for the shortest cut and the easiest route. So
Yeah, and that's probably the difference between being average and actually getting somewhere.
Correct.
Yeah. Love it.
That's
All right.
awesome.
Helena, great to
Thank
chat.
you.
Thanks for
Good to
that
see
little
you.
demonstration, guys.
No worries.
I
Thank you.
remove headaches also online. Anyone's got a headache, I'll remove it.
We can sort it out. See you,
We'll let you
Helena.
know. See you later.
Bye.
All right. Mr. Beach, Melbourne's best study.
The
Boys,
beach
how
man.
are we? How are we?
We're well, mate. How
Very
are
good,
you?
Beach.
No, good. Look, just back on Ramo's point before he got cut off. Yeah, we all want to see the improvements. We all want to see the standards improve. But it's better to say it with actions than words, isn't it?
Of course.
Yeah, of course.
So
That's in general. It's life.
as much as we all want to believe the words, we all want to see it. So it's up to the people that are now at the club to bring that across. Otherwise, we're going to be stuck in the same situation compared to where we've been previously.
Totally agree. But this is why the proof, as they say, the proof is in the pudding. So we'll get to see what's going to happen now with the change, the fresh start, etc. And if Voss is the guy to be the action man and make sure the action is implemented, then we're going to be in really good stead.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And if they are improved from the first round, then there's no stopping us. We'll take over just like that.
Yeah, that's something I think is really important next year. We've got to start. We can't be 0-2 again because there's a new game plan, there's a new regime, and they've got to get the wins on the board early to foster the belief in it. I think far too often we start seasons 0-2, 0-3, and we're just playing catch up.
Yeah, or 0-4 again. Yeah, like 0-4. We can't afford another 0-4 type start. Yeah,
No.
we can probably take an 0-1, but after that, you've got to. We can't go any further than 0-1. We have to start putting wins on the board.
Yeah.
Well, there's something in psychology. It's creates a belief system. Your beliefs and your results, and the more that you feel, feed into your belief with a positive result, it just grows and grows, and that confidence comes through. So that's why it's really important to get onto a great start.
Exactly. Yeah. And if we continue to get the first goal of each game, like to start, then the confidence will just keep building and building and building to the point where they'll think to themselves, all right, well, we can do anything now. And we can do what Melbourne did this season just gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Good
spot
point.
on. Spot on, Beachy. Love your work. Hey, I've seen you doing some streams, mate. What's going on there? You're moving up into the live stream world. I like it.
Yeah, I've just been doing some watch-along streams, much like what Pommy's been doing and whatnot, and just branching into my sports. So why not? We're still on lockdown for the time being, so still just passing the time, and if I'm enjoying it, which I am, I'll keep going with them.
Yeah. No, I'm a fan, mate. It's
Good
chasing
stuff,
the passion.
Beachy.
It's good. Making the most of the technology that's available. I like it.
Exactly right.
Awesome. All right, mate. Let's chat soon, hey?
Thanks, Terry.
Thanks, Beachy.
See ya. Kira.
Hey guys, how are we?
Hey, Kira.
Hey, I just wanted to get your thoughts. I saw a tweet today saying that there is a genuine push to have a grand final rematch take over Richmond Carlton round opener for the 2022 season. Thoughts?
Get stuffed to whoever says that.
It was put online.
No, because I had this conversation the other day with a friend of mine, and it's like, there's no need for the grand final rematch to be the curtain raiser. Let it be the Friday night game. Thursday night, Carlton, Richmond, you guarantee 75, 80,000, maybe 85 at the game. And then you can have the primetime game, the Friday night blockbuster, as the grand final rematch.
I totally agree.
Yeah, agreed.
I love traditions, Kira.
Yeah.
I love traditions. And I reckon the opener of Richmond Carlton is great.
Agree. And if they take that tradition away from us, then they have to look at all the other traditions. They have to look at Anzac Day, Big Freeze, all of it. Dreamtime at the G. Because if they can take it away from us, they have to take it away from everyone. So yeah, I'm glad that you guys share the same thoughts on that.
Keep flying the flag.
We'll be fighting for
Good
it.
on you.
we won't let it happen without a fight.
We'll turn up to round one opening match and we'll just all wear our Carlton gear. We'll just take over.
Absolutely.
Well, hopefully you can go to the games. You should be able to go to the games next year, hopefully.
I think so. Now that, we've got the vaccination status, I think that's it now. Like, what else can we do than get vaccinated to go to such events,
Yeah.
So, I mean, in Dubai, Rash, there's sporting events going on, right?
Mate, I'm telling you, we've had the nightclubs are open. We've had concerts. Yeah. We had Ali Goulding here 2 weeks ago, fully open. No one checks if you're vaccinated or nothing.
So generally, Australia is like 6 to 8 months behind everywhere else. So
about 5 years, maybe.
Yeah. Well, it depends on what you're talking about. It really does.
Yeah. By round one, we'll be right. We'll be all in the league.
Absolutely.
Hopefully celebrating a win. And
absolutely.
We've got to win now.
We do. We sure do. Kira, congratulations. You've graduated or you finished high school.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Great stuff. What a time to be alive.
Congrats. Yes. It would have been a bit tough with the lockdown and stuff.
Yeah, we had our final 2 years at home learning, but that's okay. We got through it and we graduated. Now we're just studying for exams. Great time to reopen the state when we all have to study. And then we'll be done.
Good luck.
All the best. Thanks, Kira.
See you guys.
See ya.
Bye.
All right, one more. Young Zach.
Hello.
How are you, mate?
Zach.
I'm all right. Hello. Look, this might be a bit random, but I want to talk about Mitch McGovern.
Okay.
Because with all the free agency signings, Hewitt, Shearer, Lewis Young as well, I was thinking, like, where does Mitch McGovern fit in? Because I remember in the last game, it was Simo's farewell game against Brisbane. I think Teague actually chucked him down back as like an intercept for a little bit. I think it was maybe for the second half, just to test him out to see what we have for the 2021 season. So yeah, I'm not sure where he fits in. I don't think he does fit in, to be honest.
I don't know. What do you think, Tez? I've got my thoughts on McGovern.
It just depends on. I mean, we've been speaking about it for the last few weeks. Like, what is Voss going to want to do with the forward setup? Is he going to want to play 3 talls plus a ruck resting, or is he going to go with Harry, Charlie, Jack Silvani, and a ruck? I don't know. Like, it just really depends on the philosophy. I mean, I'm not really neither here or there on him being a defender just because his brother was a defender, but I do think Mitch is a guy that you've got to get the ball to come to him and get him in the game rather than him grab the game by the scruff of the neck. I don't know if he's that player or if he's going to be that player for us. That's why I can understand why you put him behind the ball. We were talking before about touch wood. What if a Jones or a Wiedering have to miss for whatever reason? He could be an option. He could be an option. I'm just so, to be honest, I'm just disappointed in the whole situation, the whole contract, the whole thing. It just hasn't turned out the way that I was hoping. But what do? We're in 2021, and we've got to try and make the most of it now.
Exactly.
I think he's versatile. That's what I like about him. He hasn't achieved what we actually thought. But he's, I think the third for me, Silvani, the third tall.
Yeah,
for sure. And the good thing about Mitch is that you can even throw him in the ruck. You can put him in, centre half back. You can put him in multiple positions. So I think there's a place for him. I think he's a versatile player.
Yep.
But is he going to tear the game apart? Probably not. And he'll have his odd good game, but that happens. You don't know.
Yeah.
It happens. Sometimes, some players don't achieve what they're supposed to achieve or what we think their potential is.
Exactly. Yeah.
What about you, Zach?
Right.
Where are you putting him?
Look, I think you're right. I think it's, Harry, Charlie, Silvani as well. He can even be in the ruck, Silvani, as we know from last year when we just had DeConning there. So we had to help out. So yeah, I don't even know if he's best 22, Mitch McGovern. I mean, like he could turn it around this year. He could, but it's going to be very difficult for him.
I think the bigger problem is having the two rucks, personally.
Agreed.
I think having Pitternet and TDK, that for me is a bigger problem. I can't see them both in the same team.
I'm with you on that.
Pitternet was injured last season as well. So we only had DeConning there. He was quite young. Maybe they did need to, but still, DeConning was, he was good. He was actually quite good, to be honest. So, yeah.
But that's what my point is with TDK is that if you're playing them both, and TDK is not going to play backline, he's going to play forward. So then all of a sudden you've got four talls. So it's I wouldn't like to have that sort of dilemma on the coaching side.
Yeah.
No, love it. Hey, Zach, loved your articles on the website, mate. The hidden gems.
Thank you.
I did enjoy that. I did enjoy being reminded about the positivity that came from the season.
Yes. The very little positivity, but still
very little positivity. But there's always something. There's always a silver lining.
Exactly.
Yeah. Love it. Good on you, mate. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Zach.
See ya.
Cheers, man.
All right. Just like that. That's us. Rash, that's us.
Thanks for having us from the sandpit, man.
No worries.
Even though our internet connection was a bit, not great, but
that's part of startup life. Things will fail, then you just get on with it, and it just ended up working out.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. So what's on the horizon for you? When can we get you back in Australia? When can we get you at the MCG?
Well, now that I'm waiting for the official what's happening with Victoria, but I understand that New South Wales has opened up borders without quarantine for fully vaccinated. So I'm pretty excited about that. A lot of expat friends are excited about that. So I'm waiting for the news in Victoria, but I'm looking at probably coming in December or Jan, maybe for Christmas or early Jan. Like I was saying, I think we've got the Bashahuli thing coming up in January here. So they might be coming here. So if they're coming here, then I'll probably stick around and then head back with them. So be there for round one, hopefully.
Beautiful, mate. Beautiful. Well, hey, listen, thanks for coming on tonight. I'm glad you guys, glad to do it with you guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you around for sure.
Always a pleasure. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks. No worries. Good night, everybody.